The voice of the drum calls. It sings a song of those who came before us and those to come. A song of survival and strength. A song of participation and voice. A song that calls us together. When we come together and participate in the 2010 census, we use this tool as the voice of all our Native people. Our voice. It is in our hands. 2010 census.
Is Tuesday, March 9th, and we want to welcome you to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. Here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. One of the nation's best known and most prosperous tribes will soon have its first female tribal chief in almost 300 years. Lynn Malurba was introduced recently as incoming chief of the Mohegan tribe, whose Mohegan Sun Casino complex in Connecticut is one of the world's largest gaming and hotel facilities around, employing nearly 10,000 people. Malurba, who will be inducted in August of this year, becomes the Mohegan's first female chief since 1723. The lifetime appointment holds unmatched prestige and a chance to be a voice in influencing Indian policy nationwide. The Mohegan have about 1,700 members nationwide, has been without a chief since Ralph Sturgis passed away in October of 2007. He sheep-herded the tribe through federal recognition in 1994 and the opening of its casino 2 years later. Cheyenne River Reservation school shut down by weather for a month and a half has finally reopened. Classes began in La Plante last week again. Senior Taylor Witt says it's been so long some students had forgotten their locker combinations. The school was shut down in late January when an ice storm and blizzard knocked out electricity and water to thousands in the region. Students and teachers had been driving an additional 30 miles to Eagle Butte for classes since the beginning of February. The Osage Nation's appeal of a federal court decision that rejected the tribe's attempt to exempt members who live and work in Osage County from state income taxes has been denied. The 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals last week affirmed a lower court decision in the tribe's lawsuit against the Oklahoma Tax Commission. The tribe argued that Congress never affirmatively disestablished the 1.5 million acre Osage Nation reservation in northeast Oklahoma, and therefore taxing its members violated federal law. The court wrote that because it concluded the reservation no longer officially existed, the judges didn't have to address the taxation issue. Gene Paulman, instructor at the Aurora Borealis Charter School in Kenaitze, has for several years taken his 6th grade classes for overnight field trips on the beach of his Nikkasiki property, not far from Boulder Point. The purpose of the exercise and excursion was exploration, discovery, and knowledge, all of which resulted after this past summer's trip and for more than just the students of Palm's class. One of the boys who was setting up a tent came over and told me he found a body, Palm said. Palm thought the bones looked old, so he called his former professor, Dr. Alan Barras, and asked him how he should proceed. Barras advised Palm to call the Alaska State Troopers to rule out foul play, which after investigation they did, and then contact the Kenaitze tribe, since the remains may have come from one of their ancestors. After learning of the corpse, Sasha Lindgren, a Kenaitze member and the tribe's Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act consultant, said the tribe decided to work toward excavating the remains to learn all they could about the life of whoever the person was that was buried there. Quote, "A lot of tribes don't allow analysis of physical remains," unquote, Lindgren said, but our elders agreed to allow non-invasive studies if a tribal member is present to ensure the proper respect. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius announced recently the United States Senate unanimously confirmed Lillian Sparks to be Commissioner of the Administration for Native Americans, part of the Administration for Children and Families at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Lillian Sparks will be an outstanding leader at the Administration for Native Americans, said Secretary Sebelius. She has devoted her entire career to supporting the educational pursuits of Native American students, protecting the rights of indigenous people, and empowering tribal communities. I look forward to working with her in the months and years ahead. Lillian Sparks is a Lakota from the Rosebud and Oglala Sioux reservations and has served as executive director of the National Indian Education Association since the year 2004. Prior to joining NIEA, Ms. Sparks was a staff attorney with the National Congress of American Indians, where she worked on international indigenous rights, sacred sites, and religious protection, and youth and health care issues. The federal government is giving the Courte tribe more than $12 million to build a high-speed internet connection on its rural reservation in the Idaho Panhandle. For the tribe, the stimulus project could mean a lifeline to the outside world and connect up to 3,500 homes on the reservation. That is about half the size of Rhode Island. Right now, the tribe's landline broadband options are limited. The local cable company has pulled out of the market, and Verizon Communications Inc. offers digital subscriber line or DSL service to just a small slice of the reservation. The tribe expects to start installing miles of the fiber optic lines in towns such as Plummer and Oreilles during the up-and-coming months. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country. On this edition of the Native News Update, we want to thank you for joining with us. Come back again soon. Be Miigwech.